Every PMO has this one massive challenge. How do you turn all those big strategic promises into actual, tangible performance? Well, today we're going to build the exact blueprint to make your PMO's value a reality. Let's jump right in. So let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Does this sound familiar? Is your PMO's value proposition just a promise on paper? A grand statement that's kind of stuck in a document somewhere? Hey, if it is, you are definitely not alone, and it's a huge problem we're going to solve today. And really, this is the heart of the matter, isn't it? It's that gap, that disconnect between the high-level strategy and the actual day-to-day services you're trying to provide. Our whole goal here is to build a bridge right across that gap. And that bridge, well, it has a name. It's called service development. Think of it like an engine that takes your PMO's big ideas and turns them into real, tangible services that people can actually use. Put simply, this is the process where all those promises finally become real-world performance. Service development isn't just some one-off task. It's the core engine in a much larger system we call the PMO flywheel. It's the critical part that takes what your customers need and actually converts it into actionable solutions. It's what keeps the whole thing spinning. So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with that core idea of moving from promise to performance. Then we'll walk through 3 practical phases: designing your services, measuring and resourcing them, and finally formalizing the launch. And we'll wrap it all up with a quick way for you to assess where your PMO's blueprint stands right now. All right, let's get into it. The number one goal for any PMO that wants to have a real impact is closing that gap we've been talking about. It's all about transforming those abstract promises into measurable, concrete performance that everyone in the organization can actually see and feel. So where do we even begin? Well, it all starts with phase 1. This is where we lay the foundation, and it's all about deliberately, consciously designing your services. Because before we can deliver any value, we have to architect what that value is actually going to look like in practice. Okay, this whole design phase really boils down to 3 key decisions. First up, how are you going to deliver? Are you going to be a full-service, hands-on provider, a self-service enabler, or maybe some kind of hybrid? Next, you've got to map out the process from start to finish to see every single step. And finally, you package it all up into a clear service catalog. Seriously, think of it just like a menu of everything your PMO offers. And look, a service catalog does not have to be complicated. In fact, its power is in its simplicity. For every single service you offer, you just clearly define its name, the specific value it provides, and exactly who it's for. This one simple step creates an incredible amount of clarity and helps manage expectations before a single request even comes in. Now, a great design is a fantastic start, but it's just that, a start. The next big questions are, how will we even know if this is working? And do we have the right people to deliver it? That brings us right to phase 2, measuring and resourcing. This is where the plan really starts to get real. Here, we're zeroing in on 2 things. First, metrics. You've heard it a million times. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So we have to define exactly what success looks like for each service. And second, people. We've got to map our team's specific skills and competencies to what these services demand to make sure we can actually deliver on our promises. And when we talk about metrics, you've got to know that not all of them are created equal. You have efficiency metrics, which are all about how well or how fast you do things, like what's the time to provision a new project. And that's important. But then you have outcome metrics. These measure the business impact, like a reduction in project budget variance. A truly successful PMO proves both its speed and its value. Okay, our blueprint is almost finished. We've designed the services, and we know how we're going to measure them and who's going to deliver them. This final phase is all about making it official and rolling it out to the rest of the organization. It's time to formalize the launch. And this really comes down to 2 final actions. First, you finalize your SLAs. Those are the documented promises you make to your customers about quality and timelines. Then, you plan the implementation. And trust me, you can't just flip a switch on everything all at once. A phased rollout with a really clear roadmap is absolutely key to getting this right. A really strong SLA just removes all the guesswork. For every single metric, you set a concrete target and you decide on a reporting frequency. And this isn't just about bureaucracy. It's about creating accountability and a truly shared set of expectations. When you have this level of clarity, everybody knows exactly what success looks like. So there you have it, the three-phase blueprint for building out your PMO services. But, a blueprint is most useful when you know where you're starting from. So let's pivot for a second and talk about a quick self-assessment to help you figure out where your PMO is at today. The full assessment has 35 really targeted questions. Each one is specifically designed to make you think critically about a different piece of your service development process, from that initial design phase all the way through to delivery. Just to give you a little taste, think about questions like these. In process design, do you actually account for different types of projects? When it comes to your SLAs, are you validating them with your customers? And for your team, do you have a proactive plan to address skill gaps? These are the kinds of questions that separate an average PMO from a truly mature one. So, what does perfect even look like? Well, if you could answer always or excellent to all 35 questions, your score would be a 160. Just think of that number as the benchmark for a truly world-class service development process. The scoring gives you a really objective snapshot of where your PMO is right now. But look, whether you land in critical or excellent, the goal isn't just the number itself. It's about using that insight to prioritize exactly where you need to focus your improvement efforts first. As we wrap things up here, it is so important to remember what this is all really about. The processes, the metrics, the SLAs, none of those are the actual goal. They're just tools for building trust and fostering a true partnership between the PMO and the business it serves. So, we've laid out the entire blueprint for taking your PMO from promise to performance. You have it now. The only question left is, what are you going to build?